Good evening. The People's National Party on Saturday held a constituency conference in Southeast St. Andrew where they called on the government to address the issues facing the education system, specifically teacher migration. Southeast St. Andrew Member of Parliament Julian Robinson revealed the data he received from schools within the constituency.
Comrades, the country is going through difficult times. We're going through some crises. And I would say the number one crisis facing the country 2 weeks before school resumes is the issue of teacher migration. And I did a little survey in my constituency. I called some principals to find out what is the state of teacher migration. The Campion College principal has already indicated that 23 teachers have left that institution. 23 teachers left one school out of 100 teachers, almost, that's 20%. I checked with another school. I'm not going to call the name of the school because I don't know if they have reported to the Ministry of Education. The principal told me he has lost 4 science teachers, 2 English teachers, 1 math teacher, and 1 Spanish teacher to migration. That school has over 2,000 students in this constituency. Now imagine 4 science teachers, math teachers. These are all the specialist disciplines that the country needs right now. Now I want to say to the government, take your head out of the sand. Stop behaving like nothing not going on. We have a crisis, and 2 weeks before school starts, these principals cannot hire replacement teachers in time. So when schools start back, you're going to have students who will be in classes with no teachers. And when these issues are brought to the government, they might behave like nothing not going on.
He noted that while Jamaica is not able to match the $7,000 being offered to some teachers who migrate, the government must put in place a plan to address the migration issue.
And let me tell you, they're not recruiting the entry-level teachers. They are recruiting teachers who have master's degrees and 15 and 20 years experience. So they're taking the best of our teachers. Why? Because the US have a shortage. I was in Connecticut, I went to visit my brother the other day, and they said, we need Caribbean teachers. They said they're coming to Jamaica to recruit. And when I heard what they are paying teachers, I can give you one example of a basic school teacher in Jamaica who has left to go to New York, who will earn $7,000 a month. What? Is that kind of money they're paying? Now, we know Jamaica can't match that. And we're not going to be unrealistic about what our budgetary constraints can be. But I'm saying to the government, we have a crisis, and we need to first recognize that we have a crisis and put in place a plan to deal with this. Because in everything, the students who will suffer the most are those who come from poor households. Because the parents who can afford extra lessons or who can supplement it, they will be okay. But the parents who can't, you're going to have students who will go through the year with no teacher in certain areas.
In the meantime, the opposition spokesperson on agriculture, Luthan Cousins, in his address to the comrades present at the conference, took a jab at the Minister of National Security as well as the Commissioner of Police.
What is happening in the country now with the crime crisis, I've spoken about it. And the reality is that we have a security minister who has no reason to be a security minister. He is more like Jamaica next top model. And the reality is that it is time for the government to take a position as it relates to the security minister. And also the Commissioner of Police. The statistics would support that at least the Commissioner of Police should be out of our work by now. Why do we have this man wasting government public resources, going around modeling as if he's a model? This is not the time for modeling. And this is not the time for a bag of dancing because I see Prime Minister go the bird at stadium. And all them go crying for the people. cost of living crisis like never before. People are suffer. People are dead for hungry. That is the reality of the Jamaica we live in today. We see the poultry company come and try to trick with. Them say they're going to decrease the cost of chicken by $12. But you know the thing is that every time they increase the cost of chicken, it increases by a percentage figure. So why are you going to come now and decrease it by a dollar figure? The last time it was increased, it was 10%. When you look at the $12 decrease now, it is 1.4%. So it's another three-card trick. It's another way of trying to propping up the government. And you have to understand that the private sector will always support the government that is going to support them. And they will never support the People's National Party the way they have never supported us that way. And they'll never support us that way because we are the party for the people.
In the meantime, the Ministry of Education and Youth called a press conference this morning to address the issue of teacher migration. The Education Minister Favour Williams noted that some 167 teachers have resigned from their positions since July of this year.
As to where we are currently, I know that I would have given a couple of interviews last week and indicated to the nation in terms of the number of reports that we would have got of resignations. And I'd indicated that last week at that time we were seeing 80. The current number that we're looking at, and this is for the period July to present, is 167. These resignations we know will impact staffing for the new school year as they are so close to the start of the new school year. Obviously, resignations that would have happened in the last school year, we would have seen where those would have been filled, or at least many of those would have been filled, and so those would not be in this number that I'm quoting to you this morning. Of course, we are still getting information from our school principals, and so these numbers, this 167, could change as we move towards the end of August and into September. The school year officially begins on the 5th of September, and even up to that time, there may be resignations. And some of these, of the resignations that we've gotten, may be due to migration. We do not know precisely because our teachers are under no obligation to tell us why they're resigning. It's a personal decision, and we respect that. Some do, some don't.
Minister Williams also indicated that some 964 specialist teachers have graduated and are now available for introduction into the education sector.
Today we're using this medium to acknowledge the staffing challenges that some of our school leaders would have reported as a result of the resignation of some of our teachers and the short supply of teachers in some of the subject areas taught at the secondary level. As our school boards pivot to respond to these challenges efficiently, I want to itemize some of the responses from the Ministry of Education and Youth to help our principals and our school boards as they prepare for the new school year. So let me give Jamaicans a sense of who are the new pool of teachers and what are their specializations. So we would have gotten figures that says there are 964 specialist teachers who have just completed their program of study and may be available for employment in the government teaching service. Additionally, I just want to point out that included in the 964 would be 121 teachers who are on the Ministry of Education and Youth Special Scholarship Program. They would have graduated from our teacher training institutions, also expected to take up their position in the teaching force in September of this upcoming school year. These teachers on this special scholarship program are bonded for a period of 5 years, and among them are 67 mathematics teachers, 32 teachers of physics and chemistry, and 17 with industrial education specialization.
In responding to questions on the improvement of infrastructure across schools, the Education Minister had this to say.
All right, so in terms of the infrastructure of our schools, you would have heard, I hope you would have heard me several times talk about the continued need for continued maintenance and for the upgrade of many of our schools. We do that as a matter of course, and I know we're getting ready this week to meet with all our principals across our regions to indicate to them what would have been done, what projects would have been completed in the last school year, what are the projects that are on the table for the next school year. We agree that because we have a database here that was put together by the World Bank and architectural students from UTech. They went out and they looked at all our schools. They did a physical review of our schools, and so we have the database that is ranked to let us know which schools are satisfactory, which schools are not, and which schools are having issues. We have that information. It's going to take time for us to get to all our schools. There are approximately 1,000 schools across Jamaica with varying needs, and I do agree that many of the facilities in our schools for our teachers and our administrators need to be upgraded. I've indicated to the National Education Trust, who manages most of our major infrastructure work, that for major works going on at schools, we have to begin to construct an administrative block for our schools, because after all, our teachers, our administrators, they go to work. It's their workplace.
The Jamaican Urban Transit Company, the JUTC, today advised of its intentions to increase its charter rates. The company noted that due to the increase in the price of fuel and other operating costs, they will be implementing a price increase of their charter rates effective Monday, September 5, 2022. The company has not increased its charter rates in 5 years. Persons wishing to use the JUTC's charter service may email charter@jutc.com.jm or call 876-749-3192 to request a written quotation covering the cost of a trip. In the press release issued today, the company thanked citizens for their continued support and indicated that they are working towards providing an improved service throughout augmenting their bus fleet in short order. Constable Noel Maitland has been remanded until September 16 following a near 2-hour clash between the defense and the prosecution. The prosecution reportedly refused to disclose certain statements collected so far, claiming disclosure could jeopardize the investigation. A member of Noel Maitland's legal team, Casey and Kennedy Sherman, told our news team what happened in today's court session.
Well, today we intended to make a bail application. Unfortunately, the prosecution did not disclose several documents on us, despite our request 2 weeks ago. It is quite disappointing. We are taken by surprise. This is something that I have never experienced in all my years of practice. They have chosen not to disclose certain documents. They have also indicated their reasons. But the court, in its own assessment of the matter, has indicated that it was not satisfied with those reasons. And so we are indeed, I would say, ambushed. The Crown has indicated that they intend to have the matter transferred on the 16th of September. But in keeping with our obligations to our client, we had to do what we had to do, which is to wait on the proper documentation before making an application. We do not have a full view of the matter, and so it would have been irresponsible of us to proceed.
In the meantime, Donnelly's aunt has expressed dissatisfaction at today's events.
To be truthful, I'm just saying the JCF is covering up for Mr. Maitland. I have no doubt about it. Because if you look at it, Jamaica, look at it. When Cartel was in court for the murder of Lizard, whatever it may be named, he never granted a bail, more like it's a bail hearing. And it was just a simple voice note, I think, from Digital that they charged him for the murder for. And I sure know forensic were taken from the apartment of Chelsea Manor that contained blood of my niece. So what more, tell me Jamaica, what more does the justice system, the JCF need to see that Noel is a culprit of the murder of my niece? The main thing that we are looking for right now is in the comfort. Tell us, where is the body of my niece? I think that is more what we want to know, because there's no doubt at all that he's not the one that murdered her.
And Mello TV will bring you more on this story in subsequent newscasts. A man was shot dead at a party in Landilo, Savannah Lamar in Westmoreland on Saturday. The deceased has been identified as 26-year-old Akeem Dulcio, otherwise called Bojo. According to the Police Corporate Communications Network, the CCU, Dulcio was shot and killed by unknown assailants at a bar. The CCU report said that about 9:45 p.m., Dulcio was among a group of patrons at a party when two men alighted from a white Toyota Axio and fired several shots. Shortly after the shooting subsided, Dulcio was found suffering from gunshot wounds and was taken to the hospital where he was pronounced dead. Investigations are ongoing. 1.38 revolver was seized on Georgiana Close in Vineyardtown, Kingston yesterday. Reports from the Elston Road Police are that about 10:45 a.m., a team of officers conducting operation in the community found the firearm beneath a water tank and retrieved it. No one was arrested in connection with the seizure. Investigations are ongoing. The Clarendon Police ramped up operations in the division this past week, targeting the illicit use of operation of poker game boxes. The theft of these game boxes has increased in recent times across Clarendon and the neighboring parishes of Manchester and St. Elizabeth. Throughout the week, several operations were carried out at various locations and 75 game boxes were seized in a collaborative effort between the police and the Betting, Gaming and Lotteries Commission. At one location, at Cemetery Road in Denby, Clarendon, 39 game boxes were seized, which led to arrest and charge of a 60-year-old businessman, Daverton Francis, who was charged with unlawful possession of property. According to Head of Criminal Investigations for the Clarendon Division, Deputy Superintendent Jermaine Anglin, investigations by his team suggest that one of the boxes is valued at an average 350,000 Jamaican dollars. When stolen, one is sold for 60,000 Jamaican dollars to the criminal underworld. DSP Anglin further stated that each box earns an average of 6,000 Jamaican dollars daily and added that by his calculation, the 75 boxes could generate at least 450,000 Jamaican dollars to fund criminal activities. With this in mind, DSP Anglin and his team of detectives in Clarendon have vowed to stand resolute to remove the profit out of crime and bring perpetrators of this illicit activity to justice. They are continuing to probe further and operations will continue. And those are the stories making the news. I'm Nicole Hales. Thanks for watching.